We had a women's fatal four-way elimination match to determine a new challenger for Becky Lynch in the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam between Alexa Bliss, Natalya, Naomi, and Carmella. And the story here was less the match itself and more the crowd reaction to this match. The crowd turned on this. Gave it chants of "This is awful," "Let's go Cena," "Cena sucks," Goldberg. After what felt like 5 lifetimes, it came down to Alexa tapping out to the sharpshooter, which makes Natty the #1 contender now for the Raw Women's title. After the show, Alexa Bliss was very unhappy. She tweeted after the match, "Just disrespectful." And then later on, in response to a fan tweet, because in case you were thinking that she was in character, since she's a heel, that was not the case. And she tweeted out later, "Yes, we encourage reactions, cheering and booing and chants. We do not encourage people to be rude." And it's interesting because this show on Monday took place in the very same building where the Evolution pay-per-view took place last October. Everybody was all about the women's evolution, revolution, whatever you want to call it. Very enthusiastic about that show. First ever, all-women show for WWE. All-women's pay-per-view, rather. And it got a great response. The fans on Long Island were very respectful of those women. They liked what they saw. They had a mix of good wrestling and some star power from the past with Trish and Lita and people like that. And you know why it got a great response from the crowd and why that show was so well received by myself and a lot of other people who saw it? You know why? Because that was a really good pay-per-view with some really good matches. So it got an appropriate response. This match, I saw a lot of hate for this match. People calling it horrible, it was terrible, and Alexa can't work, and Carmella can't wrestle. I think that's a bit harsh. They can work. They can't work as good as a lot of the other people that we've seen who have a lot more experience than they do. In fact, they have a lot of people under contract who are better in the ring at what they do than Carmella and then Alexa Bliss. You got to remember something here. I'm not making excuses, but these two, they came out of the factory. They had no prior wrestling training, no prior wrestling experience. They didn't work indies. They didn't do any of that stuff. Although Carmella would be considered second generation because her father was a wrestler. Even if he was an enhancement guy, he was a wrestler. But Carmella was a Laker girl before coming to WWE. These two are products of the Performance Center. You can call them factory workers. That's what I call them. That's my new description. They're factory workers. So is Charlotte Flair, by the way. But she's just a freak of nature. She picked this up quicker than most. Some people have it, some people don't. But I don't think they're as awful as some people make them out to be. I actually thought the match itself was fine. I thought the match was fine. My favorite part was Natty getting Naomi in a surfboard, and with Natty's shoulders being down, Alexa saw an opening and she snuck in and she tried to pin her. That was clever. That was something I don't think I've seen before. So the match had its moments. The rest of the work, from Natty and Naomi, I thought was fine. The issue was that there was no reason for this match to be 25 minutes long. Absolutely none. No reason for this match to be that long. And I am all for having a long match here and there. I'm watching these G1 matches that are going 15, 20, 25 minutes in some cases. Because those guys can carry a match for that long, and that promotion, in that product, there's a certain expectation that those matches are going to be long. You're not going to watch a New Japan and have 3 and 4 minute matches unless Yano is in there. But, I'm all for having a longer match here and there on Raw. I don't think every Raw match has to be 20 minutes long. But if you have 2 teams or 2 guys or 2 girls who are very good at what they do, who have the ability to go in there and carry a match for that long and keep the crowd interested, then go for it. Although we may never get to see that again because of this insanely stupid rule they have about no wrestling during commercial breaks. So instead of having a 25-minute match, we'll have a 90-second match. And some planted fan will run in from the crowd so they can beat him down, and we'll take a commercial and come back and restart the match. Because they got to come up with clever ways every week to figure out how they're going to end the match, go to commercial, come back, and restart the match. It's insanely stupid. It will not last. And one of these days, hopefully, we'll get back to the days, of having just a straight match that goes 20 or 25 minutes. I said this match went 25 minutes. Technically there were falls. I mean, you might want to say that it was actually a whole collection of different matches in one. I guess you would say that this was one match that went 25 minutes long, but they did it in a way where when one person would be pinned, they went to commercial. That's why they made it an elimination match. So that's my little tangent on that. But if you have people who can work a 25-minute long match and not put me to sleep, go for it. Go for it. You have a match with a great story to tell? Go for it. Great. This match did not need to be as long as it was. I could have looked at this match on paper. If I was in the back, if I snuck into the locker room and I saw a whiteboard and it had a listing of all the matches that were going to be on this show, and it said Alexa and Carmella and Naomi and Natty, 25 minutes. I would have looked both ways to make sure nobody was looking. I would have grabbed my dry eraser and I would have erased it. I would have erased the 2 and I would have put the number 1. That is as long as this match should have gone, and even 15 minutes might have been too long. But if you literally cut the amount of time in half, if you cut this match, the length of it in half, I don't think people would have been as hostile towards it as they were. I really don't. But again, there are certain people who you could get away with doing that with. Becky Lynch, Asuka, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, they've all had long matches. I've never seen people shit on those matches the way they shit on this one. And I don't think you would have had the crowd shitting on this one either if it was 12 minutes, 15 minutes. You have Carmella and Naomi. 2 women who have not even been featured recently in any kind of meaningful role other than Carmella running around doing comedy with R-Truth. Now we're supposed to, take this seriously and watch her wrestle for 25 minutes? You out of your mind? You got Natty too. You got Natty in there. What was the last significant thing that Natty did? What was the last meaningful thing that Natalya did on this television show? Now you're going to throw these women out there for 25 minutes and expect the people are going to be up for it? Are you insane? On SmackDown, the very next night, we have 3 women's matches. None of which got shit on, but none of them went longer than 2.5 minutes. I would think there's some happy medium that we could find between 2.5 and 25. But Alexa Bliss running to Twitter to complain about mean fan chants, they weren't enjoying themselves. They were not having fun. Now we're going to run to Twitter, though, and complain about the mean people in the crowd. I mean, the fans complain on Twitter all the time. So, you sort of expect that, though, right? But I guess now the wrestlers, when the fans aren't entertained, they go online and they shit on them. That's the new thing. 2 people who did not go online and did not shit on the fans this week? Chad Gable and Jack Gallagher. Now, there weren't as many of them chanting things at them as they chanted at Alexa during her match, but if you watch that match from 205 Live this week, which you absolutely should because it was awesome, you should carve out some time to go watch it. I know a lot of you won't, but you should. That match went 16 minutes, so not even as long as this one. But still, a longer match, and so it started out slowly. They're kind of feeling each other out. And there was a group of fans, a small group, but a vocal one, chanting boring at different points during the match. There might have even been some CM Punk chants in there, but they were chanting boring at these guys. Which just goes to show that Zack Sabre Jr. was right when he said that putting on a great technical match for an American crowd is like reading Shakespeare to a dog. He pretty much hit the nail right on the head with that one. But guess what? By the end of the match, they weren't chanting boring anymore. They won those people over, or at least they silenced the shit out of them. It took a while, but they won them over. The announcers even gave them a standing ovation when the match was over. A great match, a rematch from the one that had ended prematurely a while back with Gallagher getting counted out when he wasn't supposed to be. And it got the time that it needed, and it delivered. But I didn't see either one of those guys running to Twitter to complain about the boring chants or the CM Punk chants. Oh, how rude. How disrespect. How dare you people come to the show and chant at the wrestlers? What's wrong with you people? You know, here's another reason why the fans may not have been, invested in this match. Maybe, just maybe, wild idea here. Maybe they weren't overly excited by the choices they were given as potential opponents for Becky Lynch. These are the 4 names they came up with as potential challengers for Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. Naomi, talented as she may be, what has she done lately? What has Carmella done lately? Tell me. I'd love to know. So you could probably see how people would look at this and go, what my reaction was, which is, ugh. That was exactly my reaction when I saw the lineup for this match. I still have, and I had no interest going into this match, and even after this match, I still have no interest in seeing any of those 4 women wrestling Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. That includes Natty. And when the match was over, Natty said a few naughty words in her promo to get people to ooh and ah, and all of a sudden it's a great promo. She called her a bitch, because Becky got in the ring, and she called Becky a bitch, and I'm going to pull the horseshoe out of your ass and kick the living hell out of you, which was a good line. But Natty, as a character on the show, has not been interesting. I can't even tell you in how long. And the only reason she's wrestling Becky Lynch at SummerSlam is because SummerSlam this year is in Canada. That's it. That and the women on the Raw women's roster right now, I mean, that roster is as thin as it's ever been. And it doesn't help that they have Nia Jax out hurt and Ruby Riott. Both of them out with injuries. You look at that Raw roster page. Look at the women that are on there. Nia is out hurt. Ruby is out hurt. Sasha went home. She hasn't come back. Ronda is still on there, but she went home. Nikki Bella is on there. She's retired. Lacey Evans, thank God we're done with that. It's slim pickings right now on the Raw side. But and they're in Canada, so, Natty gets the shot. By process of elimination, Natty gets the shot. You know what? If anything, I would have thought that Beth Phoenix might get the nod after all the back and forth on Twitter with her and Becky, and Edge got involved, and, that Beth hasn't been a champion in WWE in over 7 years. Maybe there could have been something there. I don't know. I mean, hell, I suggested they just send Shayna Baszler out there to destroy all of them. But they didn't do that either. I mean, the way I look at it, they already called out one set of champions from NXT. They got the Street Profits. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're cracking jokes in the back. They called one set of champions up from NXT, so what the hell? Why not call up another? So, I didn't think the actual match was as horrible as people made it out to be. There were parts of it that I enjoyed. It was far too long. And Alexa Bliss, you know what? Deal with it. That's my message. Deal with it. You're a performer. You go out there and you perform. You were obviously not able to keep the people's interest, and so they decided to rebel against the match. I probably would feel the same way that she did. I wouldn't be very happy if I was the one in the ring getting shit on. I wouldn't have a smile on my face. I wouldn't like that. But to go online and complain, what the hell has happened with these wrestlers? What is going on? The minute there's a reaction they don't like, they run to Twitter and they say, oh, you people are wrong. You people shouldn't be doing that. That's disrespectful. The answer is not to shit on the fans. The answer is to try to give the fans something they'll actually want to see. Obviously, Alexa and those women were not giving the fans that night what they wanted to see. Put wrestlers in there that they want to see, competing for a championship opportunity. Maybe try doing that instead of shitting on your fan base.